where Team Secret banned out this Nunu, and it really undid MBR's game plan. So I need to see some HP come somewhere. I'm looking kind of Jarvan as a tool here, Braum maybe as a tool here. We've seen both those come out for this team in order to respond to the fact that they don't have a front line. Or over-index right now on damage, given that you've seen the Lux Seraphine. Or sorry, the Lux Sona.
Don't worry, TJ.
There it is.
Sona Seraphine is the NA special, but MBR, they are now trying to make sure they have a ton of damage that they can just nuke the crap out of this Sona Lux into the next game and bring them to a game 3.
That's the answer. If you can go in, this is going to be Ziggs AD carry, Ahri mid, Fiora top, and then Kha'Zix jungle. And that has so much damage that if they can get onto this Lux Sona at the very beginning of team fights, Flash Wolves are probably just going to lose off of that. I'd love to see MBR get some stun here, get some CC, some control in the final pick. Braum is a decent choice. You could also go full spam and pull out a Nami here. Something to that effect. They need tools to get in, and it looks like we are going to see that Nami from Tobin.
Now, one thing that is interesting from Flash Wolves is because they were so confident on locking in the Sona Lux this time around, and meant that they didn't want to go for another assassin or a mage pick for themselves. They are now fully on board with running a triple bruiser setup, the Riven, the Aurelia, and the Vi all in their grasp. Now, they were looking at the Olaf for Cookie once again, but they saw all the mobile threats that were looking to threaten their backline, and they said, you know what, let's get some ease of execution, reliable lockdown, at least for one of these mobile diving threats, and that's why they pivot over to the Vi. I know we're not necessarily huge fans of the Vi in terms of being an overall damage threat, but when you already got the Aurelia and the Riven, I want to see Bruce or Cookie on this Vi not go for the tank Vi build. I want to see the Chad Vi build. Trinity Force, Death Stance, give yourself as much damage as possible, because you're going to have the Sona and the Lux giving you all the heals and shields that you need.
Yeah.
The big thing we've got to see is early control. And whichever team gets that and starts kind of snowballing is very likely just going to be able to run away with this game. If it goes even, we're going very late. This could be a 20-minute, 30-minute game. But if one team blows out the early game, particularly MBR, given that they have that Kha'Zix, then this game is very likely over. So watch for the 5-minute mark. If at the end, the 5-minute, 10-minute mark, there's like a 5k gold lead, this game might be over. On the other hand, if we're even at that 5-10 minute mark, then we might, put on your seatbelt, get ready for the long haul.
Well, it looks like our viewers here have a little bit of homework from TJ. We are going to see indeed if Flash Wolves can close this out with a 2-0 or if MBR Esports can even out the score. Casters, over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mika. Flash Wolves one game away to take the series down against MBR. And Mika, once again, Flash Wolves utilizing the Sona Lux.
Yeah, I feel like this is a very plug-and-play duo as the Sona and the Lux. And the primary focus is to make sure that you keep your carries alive with the shields, with the heals, and as well as have that CC lockdown with the light binding into the crescendo, and all of the layering of CC in the world has to follow through and get a pick, or maybe even towards the fights, the skirmishes, most especially. For MBR though, double assassin setup. We've seen this before. Really nice. Radiant's gonna have to set up with a charm. Alves will follow through. You will not lack damage just because, again, there's a lot of burst going on inside of Radiance and as well as Alves. And you have that 4-1 split push that Onion King wanted to do earlier, but was already too far behind to enable that split push.
Yeah, and something that I'm looking at for this composition of both teams is very, very different. MBR Esports doesn't really have that tank, that true tank or pure tank for MBR Esports. They have Ziggs, they have Nami, they have Ahri, Kha'Zix, and Fiora. And for Flash Wolves, pretty much they all have sustainability. Like you have Sona, Lux being that enchanter, and having Riven, Vi, and Aurelia being sustainable. So I think this is really just a both pivot here for Flash Wolves and MBR Esports. They're utilizing their graph for a different type of setup.
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult early to mid, just because of how you mentioned Flash Wolves is just going to out-sustain MBR in these fights. And again, the technique for MBR when it comes to setting up these fights will primarily be reliant on Radiance's charm, followed up by Tobu's bubble. And after that, they can most likely ensure a kill. And for Flash Wolves, or rather going back to MBR, and it's these timings that are very, very important before an objective spawns. Before the dragon spawns, Ysera though winning the 1v1 matchup so far. Now it's kind of even. Onion King getting
Minions.
aggro from the minions.
This
This
Onion
ain't
King, 1
pretty.
HP. Cookie comes into the fray. Volt Breaker ready.
He cancelled.
He's not going for it. Now the minions are
He ain't
pushing.
going home.
And now Alves
Now he's-
with the win slash puts him down. First blood. FW.
I mean, that's one way to go home. I mean, he still was able to go home in base. Yes?
1 second
Yes.
recall.
First blood. Yeah, not a recall. Just,
1 second death to the base.
Yeah, exactly. Ysera, though, is able to 1v1 so and set up for that kill with Cookie at topside. So this is looking to be a very scary Riven. We've seen Ysera land triple man taunts before on this Riven, and it could be a possibility for sure to set up for Bruce later on.
Yeah, and as you stated, the charm from Radiance are important, and MBR just showcased that onto Bruce. But going back just a tad bit onto the analyst desk, I love how TJ stated about this composition difference from Flash Rolls and MBR Esports on the early mid game for Flash Rolls and MBR Esports, and how the 5-minute, 10-minute mark can change things up. Now, Alves would be that front line for MBR to make things happen, and Flash Rolls just has to sustain.
Yeah, I love how you brought that up, because the identity of Flash Wolves was, if we're playing with locking, Ziggs, Orianna at the bottom portion of the map. Now, another added combination into the pool, which is the Sona Lux, which is, again, a very plug-and-play duo, because basically what you want to do is make sure that your team doesn't die. Therefore, you must have a carry to enable that big sustain. Ysera's life was in danger. He's fine for now. But that's the thing, right? If you don't have the Olaf, it's fine. Because you can always rely on Bruce to pick anything that can fit this duo of the utility mages.
Yeah, definitely. And as we're seeing that right now, the mid lane is also that crucial, as you stated. And when it comes to Cookie, I just want to say, he's so responsive on how Flash Wolves or MBR Esports is playing. You're seeing Alves come in topside, tries to go for a flag, tries to go for a gank, but he's there. And those quick responses are very crucial, especially for Flash Wolves, to not let the lead come to MBR.
Yeah, they are now just going to get this Rift Herald and further the lead that they have even more. Especially if you get First Blood Tower without the help of the Rift Herald, that means you can potentially get 2 towers easy. The fact that Alves was there to get the dragon means that there's no threat of a collapse just yet. Tidal Wave Flash?
Yeah, it's a stun. It's a knock-up onto Ysera. Goes for the shield just a bit longer, but Arlier kills him. That's a trade for MBR.
Gotta love what MBR is doing. They were able to deny the First Blood Tower, so it's still up for grabs. We'll see. Wherever Arlier is going to be, that's when they can activate First Blood Tower. The charm!
The charm! Actually, Bruce steps into that path, and now Alves comes in to finish it up, and that's a kill for MBR.
Nicely done. Alves faking going home, faking that he was going somewhere else. Therefore, Bruce was pretty confident about the 1v1. I know I'm not going to die here just yet. I know Radiance doesn't have enough damage just yet. But of course, you do not underestimate the power of a cockroach. You think it's not there, but it's actually there.
Especially flying cockroaches, right? And Alves just flew through that, get the kill onto Bruce there to the bot side. And I think there was just a misstep as well for Bruce. He stepped onto the charm, and that was just the end of it. MBR took that kill. But however, Flash Rolls still, even if they have the kill deficit, still leading in terms of gold. Maybe 800, not that much, but still sustaining themselves into that lead.
Yeah, MBR is doing a good job equalizing and not making sure that they're not falling behind on Flash Wolves' attempt in a lot of these top lane drives, especially the fact that Onion King didn't survive the 1v1. We'll have to see. Oh!
Cookie with the Assault and Battery almost fails to
Here
do it,
comes
but
another
Radiance
round.
is here. It's a 4v2.
That away.
Knock him up, zone him away.
Bubble.
Now that's a knock up. Aqua Prison coming from Nami. Huge, and Lucking is forced to back away. No kills for Flash Wolves or MBR.
That was too close. It was a almost 4-man collapse. The tidal wave cleared the wave. So basically, Locking was the primary target because of the bubble. He wanted to run away. And now, MBR gets to survive and as well as stop the aggression that Flash Wolves has been doing.
Yeah, but here into the bot side under the fight, Radiance
Radiance!
jumps in. The charm, the Spirit Rush, the Fox Fire is just there to dominate, and Bruce once again gets slain.
I mean, Bruce already has a Triforce, and then full summoner spells, but no ult. I see why he was confident, but at the same time, these charms coming from Radiance has been deadly and has been ensuring the kill. He is already 2-0, and it's going to be very dangerous after he's able to get that Rabadons. And again, everyone is pretty much squishy. The fact that Cookie did not go for that tank build on towards that Triforce, so meaning there's a little bit of leeway for Radiance to assassinate anybody in this composition.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is Flash Wolves was thinking, we have Lux, we have Sona. Let's just not go for a tank build. Let's go for damage output so we can provide much more, because what this lacks is the damage category for Flash Wolves.
Look at Alvis trying to test. Are you going to crescendo? Are you going to binding me? Is the
No.
question. That was too close.
Yeah, they're not gonna binding them, and go back, push him away. And Cookie was just there. One punch. And they go back. So no kills for MBR, no kills for Flash Wolves. They want to just play dog and cat fights here, just fighting up each other, playing against each other. But for now, still sustaining that 30k. No one in a huge lead, but MBR starting the Ocean Dragon can change things up.
They have no vision here. They're not aware that this was happening. So Flash Wolves, right under their noses, MBR now has double dragons. And this is a setup where, 10-minute mark, MBR has the lead. This isn't still a snowbally lead that Flash Wolves wanted, like game number 1, to set up a victory. And we didn't get to see Bruce shine as well during those first minutes. He's actually 0-2-0. It's the opposite that happened. It's Radiance in the lead.
Yeah, MBR Esports tidal
Tidal
wave
wave.
zones away the enemy team. Follow up with a Mega
Blocking.
Inferno bomb. Locking is very low, 1 HP. Sona tries to save him, but he can't, and Locking will die. And now Flash Wolves trying to do it. Isra is here, front lines.
Bubble.
Aqua Prison knocks him up, but look at Eason, goes for the light binding, final spark, and Onion King still lives, but Flash Wolves will lose one of their members.
Beautiful repos timing by Onion King over there. Denies the final spark, final kill. And now all of the usual win conditions that Flash Wolves need to win this game is already pretty much unavailable. Isera getting ahead at top side, being able to dive, get first blood tower, basically denied. Bruce having to win 1v1s, has failed twice, I believe. Now he's 0-2-0. Now, the thing that Flash Wolves can potentially rely on is what? The Flash Wolves 20-minute mark win condition, where the setup is getting the lead and then finishing the game by 20 minutes. But the thing is, MBR already gathering these dragons. They've managed to get Radiance ahead 2-0. And the fact that Aelure isn't a scaling champion. So this is not going to be looking too well.
And now it's Office jumping in. That's his kill. Almost. Will not do so. Cookie will still live. So much sustainability. But here, Onion King goes for a flank. Almost gets it. Isra jumps back. Still sustaining. Onion King can't penetrate this. Even if he does for the grand challenge. As Isra will live. Onion King will follow up. Tries to run. But he cannot catch him up.
Gotta say though, Flash Wolves' discipline on the trigger for their ults. Very patient. Look at this, the collapse though coming from Flash Wolves on Onion King. Will it be possible? Looks like that's gonna be a no. Pretty hard though. If you have repos, you can basically challenge the timing of the crescendos. That's one big ult versus a normal ability. think that's pretty sweet.
And it's not just any counter. If you counter a CC from Fiora, that's also CC countered back. But here, it's Bruce trying to defend. After Prison zones him up, it's a knockback, but Bruce gets killed by MBR.
1K gold lead already, Radiance versus Bruce. And imagine coming... The way that Flash Wolves is able to get their victories is always Bruce, early lead, snowball, into locking, contributing to the damage department as well in the later stages of the game. But this time around, it's going to be reliant on Isera, going to be reliant on Bruce. The dynamic has changed because of this setup, because they're there to make sure that they can, you know, prolong the lives of basically all of the melee champions on the side of Flash Wolves. But now it's looking to be very dire. MBR is setting this up. Look at the vision coming at the deeper ends of Flash Wolves right now. Alvis, Radiance can tag team finding picks. Double Twin Shadows, by the way, to enable those said picks. 17 seconds on the clock for the Infernal Drake to spawn. And MBR definitely setting up for this one.
Yeah, and I think Flash Wolves, what they were doing is just checking up, trying to gag top lane, but Baron Nashor was there, Rurus Cutter was there for MBR. Oh, so much vision for MBR Esports, just keeps on putting Flash Wolves on the edge. And now MBR Esports is now collapsing. It's Radiant in backside. Assault and Battery to counter attack. And now saves his enchant, saves him just a bit longer. Onion King, look at the 4-man knockup from Nami. And now it's Isera coming into the fray, goes for the stun, but Onion King is doing so much. The charm will connect to follow up, and now it's gonna get the kill for MBR. And now it's a 4v5. Bruce coming back into the game, into the fight, because he is gonna get slain, but no trades in return. Onion King alone with a 2-for-1 for MBR.
Radiance's charms are super key in that team fight, and Tobu's bubbles are absolutely massive. Flash Wolves, unfortunately, Bruce, the Vanguard's edge missed. Half HP already towards this Infernal Drake. Alvis super low.
If they lose the Infernal Dragon, Flash Wolves is going to be much more harder to scale in the late game, and that will be MBR securing it for themselves. All the dragons in this game.
MBR challenging Flash Wolves here, pushing them to their limit. Again, this is a BO3. Flash Wolves 1 point away from moving forward. MBR basically are going to be sent home. MBR holding on to this game. They are looking into that Elder Drake win condition. Let's take a look at this again. We mentioned the Vanguard's edge pretty much missed. The charm, nicely done block by Cookie, but it doesn't change the fact that sustained damage-wise, it's not there. Lots of CC coming from the side of MBR, and if you basically lose your ability to fight if the crescendo hits and you don't kill anyone. Therefore, you don't have ammunition anymore to set up for your melee, for Bruce, for Isera at this scenario. And the fact that this is an 80 carry less setup means you will really lack sustained damage.
Yeah, and the DPS will also be lacking. As you stated, no ADCs for Flash Wolves. They're relying on their burst damage potential in this game to succeed up against MBR. But we'll
exactly,
see.
They need to funnel in everything. Eason with a light binding, all the skill shots in the world. Bruce will follow up. Isera will follow up as well. That is the ideal situation.
Yeah, and the 1v1 for Isra and Onion King is just a fight, just a play. But here, the Baron Nashor now being started by MBR Esports Flash Wolves now has a clue. I was about to say they have no information, but that final spark changes things up, gives information, gives knowledge for Flash Wolves. Now, Assault Battery goes for the knockup. Tidal Wave will not connect. Allier will force out the flash, and look at the binding. After connects onto one, and here Radiance comes into the backside with the Spirit Rush, zoning away the enemy team, and that will almost get the kill for Flash Wolves. Radiance will hold on for much longer as he lives and go back. Flash Wolves is now under the turret, cornered by MBR. Onion King is just there. Zone away the enemy team, but Bruce is coming down. That's a 2-man stun coming in from Bruce.
Bubble.
But he won't be able to follow up. Onion King just lunges, almost gets a kill. 1 HP left. MBR Esports will go back. Flash Wolves will do the same.
I find it crazy that no one died in that match. I mean, in that fight. And now look at Bruce. Having that Sterak's, meaning he's gonna survive a little bit more. Death Stance as well, coming from Cookie, and as well as Isera. That is basically them just trying to survive on top of the healing, on top of the shields that Lock-in and Eason have been providing. Radiance His charms have been killer. Every single time a charm lands, it is most likely a sure kill. And with that, for Flash Wolves, they have to fear not only Radiance, but also Allure, who has already a Rabadon, Ludens, and as well as that Zonia's enchant to survive any of the potential dives the Flash Wolves are going to target.
Yeah, and Tobu at the back end of it all. He is there to sustain. He's there for the tidal wave and also gives that more ability for Radiance and Arlier to actually even scale much more. And I think that's important to take note. Now, MBR Esports trying to defend, but Flash Wolves will get the tier 1 third mid lane as now Cookie face checks onto the bush, sees down Alves, but Alves just jumps back, flies through the air, Cockroach flying out.
See ya, is what Alves has mentioned. It's really hard to compete against the Ziggs here. You don't have that range to siege. You don't have something.
Call it better onto Arlier. Good 6 enchant. Arlier will have a bit
dead.
more life. But there
He
you
survived.
go. It's Nami giving sustainability as Arlier will live. Now Onion King into the flank. Tries to
Inferno
go on.
Bomb.
A Ziggs with
What?
a Mega Inferno Bomb. A lot of damage coming up. And now Bruce will die. MBR Esports will get a numbers advantage as they get the kill almost onto Eason as they secure it. Onion King will be traded down though by Flash Wolves.
This is crazy. This is the part where Allure on this Ziggs is gonna out damage the sustain that Locking and Eason will provide with the shields with the healing. Infernal Drake now being the Infernal. Well, why did I keep it? Mountain Drake already being started as Flash Wolves has teleport.
Yeah. And Elder Dragon, if MBR Esports secures this,
Head away.
Flash Wolves will have
They
so
do.
much harder, and they do. And now MBR Esports, with all the dragons in this game, Flash Wolves will have a much more harder time.
They tried their bestest too. The fact that they bought 4 teleports meant that they were hoping that they could contest. Radiance. Oh no!
Oh, Cookie with a gold follow-up, with a Vault Breaker. Now Radiance forces out gold for gold.
Spirit
but
rush.
Radiance Spirit rushes away, and he will be saved. Good initial setup for Flash Wolves, but in the end, Radiance has outplayed them.
The Spirit Rush makes him very, very slippery to catch. Definitely need that big layering of CC we talked about. Crescendo or Light Binding.
Ooh.
And as well as the Assault and Battery, but the enchant of the Zonius, pretty difficult. Locking's ult will come up soon though, so this is an opportunity where Flash Wolves can possibly try and get a pick.
And Flash Wolves repeat history here. Can they have that ganking? They have this setup up against MBR Esports, but Alvis
Twin Shadows.
has 6 stands, actually sees down onto the Baron Nashor with the Twin Shadows as Flash Rolls tries to decimate onto
Assault
the
and
Baron
Battery.
now. It's Assault and Battery connecting onto Alvis, goes for the knock-up. Alvis uses up the Flash to go back away, but he can't. He can't. Alvis will be alive though much
Junker down.
longer as this Sarah comes
Oh,
for his back, gets a
Radiant.
kill. And now it's a Light Binding follow-up with a final spark. Gets a kill for Eason onto Radiant, and now this will be 3-man left for MBR Esports.
dangerous.
The contest onto the Baron Nashor. Onion King into the backside. Grand Challenge now used up. Flash Wolves going in. 5v1. Aquaprison will
Eason.
connect onto Cookie, but that will just knock him up. That will just be CC. Arler will get the kill. Flash Wolves 4v1 up
Wow.
against Onion King, gets the kill. Now MBR Esports will lose their Baron laner, and now Flash Wolves will start up the Baron Nashor once again.
Okay, this is dangerous. This is a Ziggs,
Oh.
but no mana.
Isra now jumps in on top of the hill, goes for the
Isra!
knock on Argyr, but too much damage. It's raw
Crescendo.
from MBR
What?
as now they take the kill once again, and Flash Wolves will be forced to retreat.
This is very textbook Ziggs red side. If you are contesting a Baron,
Brilliant.
especially late game, 20-minute mark, Allure is just gonna rain bombs. The reason why Flash Wolves is so confident with that is because Allure is running out of mana. He didn't have anything to dish out anymore. But that's really scary and risky, and that's exactly why Asera perished into that Baron. And now it resets again. Flash Wolves has to work hard to get a pick.
Oh, so much damage, and
Oh.
actually Locking will
Locking.
just get eviscerated. Now Radiance just jumping around, going around, dashing around, going for so much damage as MBR Esports focus on the
They get
Baron Nashor,
Baron.
and they take it. All objectives down the drain. MBR Esports utilizing everything they can to finish this game.
The pain of Allure here inflicting towards Flash Wolves. This is the final stand. This could be game number 3. This is game number 3.
It would be if Flash Wolves cannot defend, as MBR Esports is now forcing out the push onto the last inhibitor turret, as it will fall down. The Nexus base will be next. Alvis just jumps up. Izzer will be very low, and that will be MBR Esports just collapsing into the Nexus base. GA will be popped. The jungler will live just a tad bit longer, but Bruce will get eviscerated as MBR takes the kill. Now the Baron buff minions will go for the Nexus base as the